Okay.
Hey, good morning. It's me again, Tom from the Minstead Trust, with another video looking at some different ways we can support the wildlife in our gardens at this time when we're all at home a lot. So far we've been looking at birds, but I thought today we'd look at supporting some of the creatures that are really useful in our gardens, mainly reptiles and amphibians. And you may not see them in your garden, but it's very likely that they're there, and if they're not, then we want to encourage them in because they're really good at keeping down insects that are bad for our plants. They improve the biodiversity of our gardens immensely. But reptiles and amphibians need specific things. They don't like to be out, which is why you never see them. They need places to hide, and lots of them, toads and frogs, like damp places. They like shade, they like nooks and crannies. Snakes as well. All of these things need places to hide. So today we're going to look at a simple way to make an environment that will encourage these creatures into your garden and give them somewhere comfortable to live. So for this we're going to need a few things. We have stuff you can just find in your garden, any bits of old rocks and stones, bricks. I've got this roof tile is very useful, but if you haven't got anything like that, it really doesn't matter. A bit of corrugated iron would do, or you don't need a flat piece. You can work with just sticks and twigs in place of the roof tile, and some bits of rotting old timber, bits dug out from the back of stuff. This is partly to keep the humidity, to keep the area damp because it will hold moisture, and partly it will feed things like wood lice and centipedes and grubs and bugs that our reptiles and amphibians feed on. So it's kind of house with a packed refrigerator, and that is these logs. So first up, we need to create a hole. You can do this any size you like, depending on how many materials you've got. You want to go about half a spade down. You don't want to go all the way. That's plenty just there. We're going to take out a few turfs, and we're going to keep these and put them in our wheelbarrow over here, or you can just put them to one side. I'm going to take out a little area. We're going to make quite a big one because we've got quite a big garden here. Pop them over there. Oh, bit deep there. Now you're going to need the mud underneath and the turf, because if we can get these things to look like they grew there, it's much better, isn't it? So we want to keep the grass to use as a top surface for our reptile house. I've had a lot of fun naming this structure. We can call it a reptile retreat, amphibian apartments, a lizard lounge. So you see we've got a hole, not too deep, kind of broad. You can make it a circle, you can make it any shape you like. It doesn't matter if the sides are a bit sloped, because our creatures need to come in and out, so we don't want them having to jump down a big cliff to get to where they're going. Having sloped sides is fine, but that will happen as we go along. Any bricks with holes in, these are perfect. Anything like this, and we're just going to put them in our toad abode, and we're going to chuck them in all higgledy-piggledy. It doesn't matter, and we're going to try and make little sections, little areas. Some small, some big. They hold warmth and they create little holes and crevices, and you can lean some up to make places to hide is what we want. Put some of our sticks in, just higgledy-piggledy here, there and everywhere. more little bits. Any old stones will do. We happen to have a lot of bits of brick and tile hanging around. They're great. You can kind of create little areas. More sticks, more food. Oh, put that way. And more. We want ways in, holes, so we can try and get them to make little slopes down. Look, a access ramp here, look, very nice. Just stick that one over there, that one there. Few more of them. We're just going to build it up so that we have a pile with lots of holes in. Then I'm going to use my roof tile, but in case you haven't got anything like that, I'll show you what to do. Fresh twigs work really well. So you build up a layer of fresh twigs over the top that will hold the soil that you're going to put on. We'll put some of these in anyway because these will break down and create a good food base for our reptiles from all the insects that will eat the bark and live on the pieces of rotting timber that will form. You can stick lots and lots of these on and build up a layer. It doesn't matter what kind of twig, it's probably better to go for things like hazel and beech, and better not to go for things like laurel and rhododendron. Native trees are probably better just because our insects will prefer them, and therefore there'll be more of them, and therefore our reptiles will have more of a larder. Okay, so if I was going to use twigs as my covering, I would build up more of them and make more of a thing. But as I'm going to use this tile to kind of keep the rain off a bit, we don't want to keep the rain off entirely, but a little bit is helpful. Get that to sit. We might go the other way up, I think. There we go. We might support it, get it less wobbly. We don't want it to wobble too much. That's a bit better. Okay, then we're going to come back to the turf we took off the surface. Going to take it, we're going to leave some of the mud on, but we're going to shave some of it off, and it really doesn't matter if it falls down into the cracks and crevices around, because it will create, as I say, ways in. We don't want it to be a sharp-edged thing. You could angle the spade as you put it in, but it's okay to have, again, bugs live in the soil. It creates places and ways for them to go. We're going to sit our turf on top. Whoop, nearly. Break off a little bit more. And you can see all the worms in the underside of this soil. It's nice healthy soil. There's all sorts of bugs in it that, again, our reptiles will like. I might cut this one in half just so it fits better on our slate. So we get a nice, what do they call it? There's a name for this kind of building. Eco-lodge effect for our creatures. This will keep it cool down there, help moderate the temperature. Reptiles and amphibians are cold-blooded, so they don't regulate their own body temperature. They have to do that by their environment. So what they really like is a stable temperature. So having a place that keeps at the same kind of heat is important for them to feel comfortable in their environment. Okay, we might just use a little bit of this to go around the edges. Chop it into pieces and put some on. And just try and make it look a bit pretty. There we go. And if you've got gaps in your turf where you've been building it up, you can fill them with some of the spare soil that I always make a big mess when I'm working. There's mess all around here, so we can fill the gaps in the soil with some of that, which will work nicely and stop it looking a mess. Okay, so we're filling our gaps, run around, and then to tidy it up, because at the moment it's a bit twiggy, there's bits sticking out all over the place. It's certainly worth going around and trimming the pokey out bits. And you can see all around here. Now yesterday you can go around and trim pull all of these out. Poke bits back in. You can poke in underneath excess stuff. Come around the back. You could use ordinary secateurs, it depends how big your materials are really, but we trim everything off, poke it back in, more food, more layers, more places to hide. That's the main thing really, apart from it being damp and shady, is places to hide, because like you very rarely see your slow worms and your toads and your lizards that may well be in your garden. Some of them will be there, certainly toads and frogs, and this just gives them a nice place to be. So, in this type of weather, you probably want to keep that watered for a little while until the grass forms a proper base on top. And also, in case you haven't told everybody in your area what you're doing, it's good to have something to say what your structure is, because somebody might not know and might decide to clear it up. So we're going to call ours the Toad Abode. We're going to put our sign on top so that the toads and the frogs know exactly where to come and where they will find food, shelter and a regulated temperature that will keep them happy and healthy and encourage them into your garden. So I hope that's been helpful. I hope you have fun creating your own lizard lounge or reptile retreat or toad abode, and I certainly enjoy doing it. And what's really good fun is in a couple of years this will start to break down, the soil will work its way down into the structure and you'll need to take it apart and refresh it, and then you find all kinds of things hiding deep in underneath, and that's really exciting. So thank you again for watching, and I hope you're staying safe and keeping your hands washed, and I will see you sometime next week, I'm sure.